Ate my crits.
Oh, hello. My name is Ian, the part-time Dungeon Master, and welcome back to another D20 Sundays. I'm saying goodbye to another campaign. This book isn't filled all the way, I've only probably got about 10 pages in. It was a campaign outline that I guess I'll never be able to finish because, well, the group that was playing through it died. So I think I'm just going to add it to this pile over here of other campaigns we'll never get back to. But nonetheless, welcome back to D20 Sundays. As I said, my name is Ian, the part-time Dungeon Master, and I'll be your host as always. So, I also produced this, Trouble It Leered. It's a one-shot module that I put up on DM's Guild. It's $1.99 at the moment, and it's not a very long, and I honestly will say that I'm not overly confident in the quality of the story itself, because I'm not very confident in my works. That's just me, though. But at the very least, for $1.99, you will get a few homebrewed creatures that I have come up with myself, and one that essentially a friend helped me come up with, and, whew, boy, they are fun. And, you know, for $1.99 for a few new monsters that you can use throughout any of your campaigns or any of your sessions, why not? But on to today's, which is campaign themes. Campaign themes. There's a lot of different types of campaign themes. There's horror, there's heroes, there's monster of the week, which I guess kind of most sessions turn into because it's like, you know, some players aren't happy unless they're killing something. And then there's like political intrigue, which is very hard to do from what I've heard. I've never tried it myself because just doing large intricacy kind of campaigns are difficult for me. And I try and like minimize a lot of that because I'm afraid that I'll screw up or I might accidentally bore my players because I just didn't do something right, and it's like, ooh, gotcha, and it's like, ooh, shit. But yeah, campaign themes. Essentially, you as the Dungeon Master have to choose what theme you want your campaign to be and essentially work with your players to see who wants to play it. Because, you know, again, a player might not want to play a horror-themed campaign, and thus might sit this one out. Or they might want to play a more political intrigue one, and now you've got a bit of a handful on you. But nonetheless, what are you going to do? Well, if you're choosing the theme, you got to make sure that you're also choosing the right encounters, or even the right monsters. Such as a horror-themed campaign, it's going to have a lot more of undead. Such as, like, you know, your standard zombies, skeletons, rights, ghouls, or did I say rights? Whites, ghouls, specters, shadows, so on and so forth. Meanwhile, something that's more of heroes-based, where your players are going out to stop, like, some overall arching story of, like, the big bad evil guy trying to take over the world with, you know, enslaving giant or something. You can kind of use any kind of creature whatsoever, so long as it sticks to the main theme of what the end game boss wants to do. It makes no sense for an end game boss who's been using undead, ogres, and giants to suddenly start using aberrations and monstrosities, because, you know, he's been mostly sticking to undead, giants, and ogres. So, you see my point with that. Monsters of the week, and of course, could be any. It's more of like, what are we going to fight against this week, guys? Well, we're fighting against this manticore. Awesome. Another weird thing, but, you know, at the same time, we can handle this. Meanwhile, political intrigue, or just the intrigue in general, that's a little bit more difficult because you're strictly mostly humanoids, or, yeah, pretty much humanoid-based as far as what you will be fighting against and what you will be throwing against your players. I will say that using intrigue, or the political intrigue route, you can use other monsters that perhaps a noble has that he is enslaved or captured and tamed, and he uses that as his main way of, like, intimidating folks, or, you know, sending the creature after, you know, his opponents or those who oppose him. The political intrigue has opportunities to use other types of monsters that normally would not be used or not seen inside of a city, but it's mostly going to be humanoid-based encounters as far as who's going to be trying to stop the heroes from finding out the plot, or who's going to stop them from doing critical things, and so on. You can't just have like, ooh, well, you know, a black dragon shows up to stop you. It's like, why would the black dragon show up? It makes no sense. You know, you have to stick with the theme and the overall goal of what the big bad evil guy wants, but also what he's capable of inside of that whole political intrigue kind of thing. If he's trying to take over a kingdom, he's obviously, you know, pulling strings from the inside and some from the outside, but he's not going to be using like waves and waves of undead to do it, because then it's, well, he might risk destroying the kingdom he's trying to take over, unless he's like planning to turn the whole kingdom undead, and that's a whole other thing. That might actually fit more into the heroes category than the political intrigue category. But if you can mix the two together, then you've got a good head on your shoulders. Much better than I do. Oh yeah, motivations. You also have to remember the motivations for each of the campaign's bosses as far as the themes go. In such a horror campaign, you know, perhaps it's an old ancient being trying to awaken itself or trying to regain power, and the cause of it doing, or because it's trying to do that, it's kind of causing these undead creatures to spawn just out of the essential natural dysfunction, I guess is the word I'm looking for. Meanwhile, you know, the heroes obviously have their own motivations, but whatever they're fighting against would also have motivations for, you know, sticking to a particular theme that they're using. Is the undead, giants, ogres, big bad evil guy, is he perhaps an ancient lich or an ancient undead that's come back, and he's, you know, manipulating the ogres and the giants to do his bidding, and he has full control over the undead, so he's just kind of using what he's got. Also, remember to use the clinchers correctly, and that's pretty much the climax, the ultimate point in which you really like nab the players to, this is the reason why you want to do this campaign, this is why you want to do these kind of sessions. Of course, that doesn't really work with the monster of the week, because it's more of like, okay, what are we killing this week? But at the same time, as far as clinchers, it's more for like the, you know, the horror stories, the hero's kind of arc, and the political intrigue. Why is the big bad evil guy doing this, and how does it directly impact the players? Sure, there's the whole, like, well, if the big bad evil guy gets his way, this whole kingdom is going to fall to ruin, but at the same time, players can sometimes be like, well, you know, I don't like this kingdom anyways, so screw it. I'll just move to the neighboring kingdom, and it'll be a problem later on down the line. God, I've had that before. There is one campaign that I had that almost didn't happen because two of the players are like, well, fuck this place. I don't want to help these people. I don't like any of these people. Why should I help them? And the other two players are like, no, we should help them. I mean, because if we don't help them, it's going to hurt us further down the line. It's better to deal with it now than not at all. And, yeah. That was a learning experience for me. Anyways, thank you for joining me for this D20 Sundays, and I hope this gives you some material to think about, as always, with any of my videos. It's not only to entertain or inform, but also to essentially give you the building blocks to start thinking and building off of, so that way you can create something of your own. Never really look for someone to give you the direct answer, because it might be, you know, what's written in the book, but not what you wanted, or it might be written as how they interpret it, and it still might not be what you wanted. So instead, you know, kind of try and base what your decisions for your campaign off of what your players want and what you want, and how you can best kind of merge the two together, and focus on, again, sticking to the themes, sticking with the correct kind of monsters, sticking with the motivations of each of those, you know, big bad evils, or the end game campaign boss, or so, whatever you want to call them, and have fun. Anyways, catch you guys next time. Laters.